Okay, it's time for us to remove the timeout. And we're going to do the actual fetching data from an API. So typically that's what happens. We have a server somewhere that holds the data in a database. So we need to call on that server or backend or API. Hey, I need to access this resource. In this case, I want to access some sort of message or post. Hey, I need all the posts that are posted to this specific place. We're going to ask for that, and that's via HTTP request. And then we're going to get it back. And then what we're going to do is set messages with that information. So the API application programming interface that we're going to use is this one that I pasted in the Zoom chat. We're going to use that endpoint URL. If you click that, that's going to go and give you a response. That's like fake data. It's not real, okay? It's just somebody wrote and published that, and it's running that server to help people in education and beginners understand API stuff and use it for testing purposes. So if we go there, it's just a JSON. Here's the raw data. Let me increase. So it's an array of objects, and each object has some information about a post, like a blog post, message, whatever. And we're interested in just getting some dummy data. And the data I want to get is the title here. You see the title property has a value that's suitable for what we're doing right now. So we're going to go and get all of these, and we're going to inject into our application. So going back here, in the use effect, we're gonna, okay, how to make a request? We can use the fetch API, okay? So you just call fetch like that. It's a function that we call, and then we need to say, okay, what do you want to fetch? What's the URL? So you pass the string with that value that I posted in a Zoom. That's the endpoint. Now, once we do that, we're gonna get a response object. Now, that response object is injected inside a promise. So a promise is something like takes time to, like, you want to make a request? Okay, it goes and asks for the server, but that takes time. So we got to wait for the response. So while we're waiting, the promise is still pending. Okay, we promise you to give you something, but you got to wait. So we're pending until it fulfills. If you get a response, the promise fulfills. So the way we can fulfill a promise and handle that is if you say .then here. So the return value of fetch is a promise. So if you want to handle that, you call .then, and then you pass a function inside the parentheses here. Let me increase the size, maybe like this. There's a dot here, okay? It's just that's in the other line. So, okay, once I get a response from this, I want to handle the promise, meaning, okay, and then the response is the argument to this function. And then we need to do something with the response, okay? Now, the response, we know it's going to be in JSON format, but initially it's just a plain text. So we need a way to convert that to JSON object, a JavaScript object. So what we're going to do here is return response dot JSON function call like this. What this does is it takes whatever in the body of the response and takes that and converts to a JSON, JavaScript object notation. So that means it also returns a promise. So we can add another .then here to handle that promise. And that will be the response in JSON format, which is basically the post. I can name it post like this. That's totally fine. And now there's going to be an array of objects like we saw, if we remember this. I'm going to just copy this so you understand what it is. Let me put it as a comment. Basically, it's going to be like this. Post is an array of objects, but I'm only interested in title here. So I'm going to map over these, and I'm only going to get the title, and I'm going to set messages with that. So I'm going to say post.map post. Now, I only need the title. I don't care about anything else. I'm going to say post.title to access that. Now I'm going to say set messages with this. Maybe it's easier if I put this in a variable. Maybe I say titles array like that and set messages with the titles, and I'll remove this thing here.